thrilled to be doing this. This is so fun for us, and we love interacting with talented young people. So this is going to be great. We just wanted to speak today about understanding your audience and how that is the foundation of having a long and successful career. So we're excited to talk about it, have a bunch of different things that we'd like to pass along to you, and then we'll get you involved in some questions that we like to ask our artists as well.
Oh, me? There we go. So as we mentioned earlier, or excuse me, as your professor mentioned earlier, we are from New Roots Empower, which is a nonprofit organization that Mark and I created in the good old COVID days. So we were stuck at home trying to figure out what we could do to make an impact from our homes when we all couldn't be together. And one of the ways that we decided to do that was we were thinking, what is it that we wish we had when we were new to the professional music world? And Mark was teaching at a university at the time. And so we were like, what if we could be kind of this bridge for college students or students right out of college that are interested in getting into the music industry? And so New Roots Empower was born. Our mission is to provide female artists the education and community needed to confidently advance their music careers in a safe, supportive, and collaborative environment. I say safe with emphasis because we all know just this industry is unfortunately not equal with genders, and it's important for women to be able to really strongly advocate for themselves and understand the pieces of their business so they don't get taken advantage of. So we created a program. We do 3 to 4 weekend-long intensives in Nashville every year, and they're really action-packed. We have artists that apply to come from all over the country. We've had artists from 23 different states, and everybody stays at a beautiful Airbnb. And we post up during the days at Starstruck Entertainment, which is a beautiful, beautiful old studio on Music Row here in Nashville. And we bring in industry professionals in all different parts of the industry. So, you know, managers, PR, artists, songwriters, you name it. We bring people in to give workshops and roundtable discussions. And Mark gives a voice lesson. I do one-on-one mentoring and business coaching with everybody. You get to record with a Grammy-winning producer, get a photo shoot, so you leave with some beautiful promotional material for yourself. And then we always end the weekend with a writer's round, so you get to actually perform your original songs. But really, the most important thing about this whole program is the community that our female artists are creating together. And so having a place where you can lean on for support and encouragement on days where you're thinking, what the heck am I doing? Because we all have those days in this crazy industry. Is just the most important thing, to have that community around you. So that's a little snapshot about our mission and what we do. In addition to these in-person weekends in Nashville, we also love to do Zoom workshops like this. And we also will do writers' nights, typically in Nashville, throughout the year. So we're constantly improving and growing our programming. So we love to take note of what you all want to learn, and we try to implement that. So enough about New Roots Empower. Maybe Mark, you can tell everybody a little bit about who the heck we are.
Who we are, yeah. I guess you probably are going to want to know that as we're chatting to you this afternoon. As Sheridan was saying, we got together and we basically put our minds together and wanted to make New Roots a nonprofit first and foremost, and also to become the people that we wish we had going through the music industry. So both Sheridan and I have worn numerous hats, and we're very thankful that we have been able to go through the music industry and be able to work with some really phenomenal people. So we've worked as managers for national touring artists. Sheridan is actually a board member of an organization called WIM, which is Women in Music. And she might be able to describe a little bit of what that is for you as well. And
that's actually why we're here.
Yes. Actually, yeah, because you got connected with Dr. Moore, right?
Yes. Yep. Right. Reached out, and there we are. So what a great network to be involved in.
Yeah. And so I'm also a part of SOLID, which is the Society of Leaders in Development in the Music Industry. And together, Sheridan and I, like I said, we really like to get our hands in all parts of the music industry so that we're experienced when we're giving back, and also we just kind of are constantly learning. we have background working with professionals, obviously at all level. I've worked with several celebrity artists as a vocal coach, and both Sheridan and I also actively record and perform and do some touring ourselves.
All right, there we go.
That's all right. Just a little bit more background on us and what we're kind of bringing to our conversation today. Together, we have been working in the music industry professionally for over 30 years. We're not that old, but we're gonna stay young. But we do bring with us many years of professional experience. We have artists that have toured nationally and internationally, performing at nearly every major music venue and stadium in the world. But we're really proud of that. As is our clientele has had over 3 billion total digital streams. And together we've produced alongside Grammy award-winning engineers, both at Starstruck Entertainment and OmniSound Studios here in Nashville. And Starstruck, believe it or not, is a studio that was created by Reba McEntire, which is pretty fun. Our organization and the things that we have done has been featured at the national level. And we've partnered with, you might know American Songwriter, so we get the chance to partner with them. Shure Microphones is another wonderful partner and sponsor, and they actually provide microphones for our artists, which is pretty cool.
Yes, and I'm primarily in artist management, but as we know, this industry, you tend to wear a lot of hats, and it's really important to kind of understand all the different facets so that you can kind of jump in as necessary, but that's my primary role these days. Okay, enough about us. So we are here to talk about understanding your audience, and I was really excited to hear that you all are working in groups right now to, promote an EP for an artist, which is super awesome. And like, I wish I had a class like that in college. That would have like changed so much. So part of that obviously is knowing who your audience is. And there's 3 kind of key things I want to touch on for why it's important to know your audience. The first one being you will create such a greater impact with your fans. And when you create a deeper impact, you'll be able to accelerate your artist's career that much faster by really being able to tap into what your people want, what makes them tick. You'll be able to create that deeper connection. And with that deeper connection is going to come deeper pockets. They will spend more money. They will be more invested in you emotionally and financially, which brings me to the second most important reason to know your audience is that you will have much more greater revenue potential. So by understanding what your audience wants and what products they're into, you'll be able to tap into brand partnerships. So you can approach, there was one artist right from her college dorm room. She pursued a relationship with Ford, and she ended up getting Ford to give her a van to tour in. And she just put together all of her, why it was important to her. And she's been able to keep that relationship going as she's grown her career. So tapping into brand partnerships is a huge way to grow your revenue. And then from the fan perspective, knowing what your people want, are they candle and incense people, or are they like bumper stickers and t-shirts? And if you can create merchandise that's really tailored to your audience and what they love, then you're going to make a lot more sales at your shows. And then maybe your people are people that want to support you on a more regular subscription basis. So platforms like Patreon, which I'll talk a little bit more about later on, can also be a great way to create more passive income for you. So lots of revenue potential if you know who you're talking to or singing to.
Exactly. Yeah. And overall, you just want to be able to make better business decisions, right? So we come across a lot of different artists that may or may not have money, or maybe they actually have someone that's supporting them, and they basically say, where do we put this money? There's not a direct relationship to, putting in some financial support and getting the results. And what tends to happen is a lot of artists will just immediately go towards press and PR and radio because they think, well, maybe if more people know of my name, then I'm going to get all these fans that are going to come my way, and so on and so forth. But really what you want to consider is the more you know your audience, the better that you'll be able to avoid spending money frivolously. So perhaps, you might think that you need to spend all of this money on the best music video that, has ever created, but your audience may be more grassroots and may appreciate the fact that you can reach them in person. Maybe they're even buying CDs these days still. I mean, that's a thing, and the return on your investment there is going to be pretty exponential. In addition to that, you want to be considering the possibility of collaborative partnerships. So that's songwriting. If you know your audience, then you can look at other artists that have a similar audience, and you can spend the time working with them. Maybe you're co-writing with them, performing with them, getting on a bill with them, and then you begin borrowing from some of that group that already has been nurtured and really loves that particular genre or what that artist is speaking about. So that's a very effective way of helping, elevate your audience and elevate your fan base by collaborating with another artist in a partnership.
Yeah.
And then the third little point here. So, go ahead, Sheridan.
I'm in real quick. There is no problem with sharing audiences and fan bases with other artists. Like, it's not poaching, it's just being really smart. And so if you're doubling your audience by collaborating with an artist who has a similar fan base to you, that to me is being a smart business person. So just wanted to throw that in there.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think, it feels kind of funny when you talk about that. And I'm glad that you said that, Sheridan, because it can feel kind of like, oh, well, I'm stealing another, fan base or something like that. But it's really not, when it comes to targeted marketing, you kind of have to have an understanding of where your audience is and what they like and who specifically you might be targeting. So I like to use Gail as an example, the artist Gail. I can kind of see who's watching on camera here. Have you all heard the artist Gail before? Can I just get like a show of hands? She sang the A, B, C, D, F, U song that went viral. Yeah, okay. So Gail is really wonderful, by the way. We're friends with her manager, is a good friend, and was one of our coaches at New Roots. They have a very specific and intentional targeted marketing scheme. And so what they've done is they know that Gail really speaks to the people that maybe feel like they're outcasts or don't have a voice. And so she has become a beacon for those people. And so when it comes to targeting on social media and, producing ads, they're really, really going towards those people that can listen to the message that Gail has. And that's a better way of using, an effective way of using your money. So, we talk about how do you find this watering hole, which is basically your audience, right? And it is at the intersection of your why, which I'll describe about here in a second, and the shared beliefs, interests, styles, or passions of your audience. Okay, so it's the intersection of your why and the shared beliefs, interests, styles, and passions. So another example, we like to use examples just because it's a little bit more tangible here, but we like to look at Lady Gaga, for instance. And Sheridan and I were talking about this because Lady Gaga is a beautiful example of having a very clear why. She stands for something. And when you stand for something, in her case, individuality, supporting LGBTQ plus, music that gives people the ability to be themselves. She doesn't fit into the status quo. She grows with her audience. That allows her to do Stars Born, to wear a meat dress or whatever, and to sing with Tony Bennett. I mean, because she's constantly breaking these barriers, but she's intersecting with people that really have a shared belief in that. She can speak to them. And again, it's about establishing this relationship between your why and the audience that's going to be supporting you.
So Mark and I don't want this to be just like us talking at you the whole time. So I hope it's okay, but I think this might actually help you guys in your release plan as you're promoting this EP for your artists. But we like to do this ideal fan exercise. And so I was going to say just pick a famous artist, but you guys all have an artist in mind. Is that correct, that you're working with?
Yeah, actually the artists are part of the class. So
cool.
5 groups, I think, that are releasing material. And the length varies, but let's just, for the purposes of making it simple, say that it's something similar to an EP for each group.
Okay, gotcha. Well, even better. Love that the artists are in the room. So for the sake of this exercise, everybody work on the artist that you are working with. And I want you to get out a pen and paper and start writing down, and we'll go through each of these questions here in a second. You're going to write down one ideal person that you want to reach with this artist's music. Now, of course, your fan base is going to be more than one person, and it's going to be diverse. But for the sake of this exercise and becoming really, really clear on who your number one target person is, I really want you to just choose one person. And so we are going to walk through a series of questions with you. And as we go through, I want you to be like actually writing down adjectives to describe this person. So Mark, do you want to kick it off with interest?
Yes, of course. Yeah. And so the goal here is, as you get more and more specific, it's going to be able to answer a lot of questions for you in terms of your next step in how you approach these artists. You know, what would you do in order to connect with them, and so on and so forth. So one of the first questions that we ask is, what are the interests and styles of your ideal fan? So Sheridan said before, do they like candles? Do they like, cool band t-shirts? Or do they like to go see live music? You know,
but think outside of music too. Like, where do they like to shop? What clothes do they wear? You know, what's their favorite color? Where do they like to vacation? Really try and put yourself in the mind of this person. And some of it obviously will be made up. And if you are the artist, it may be very similar to you as a person, and that's okay. That's very much normal. I would expect that. So really just go deep as far as the belief system, the styles, what foods do they like? Where do they like to eat at restaurants? The type of people that they hang out with. And then of course, like demographics. So age, gender, all the basic information as well. So we'll just give you like another minute or so. I know we're going to kind of rush through this a little bit, but I really would love to hear some of your, what you come up with at the end of this. So we'll give you about a minute here to work on that, and then we'll go on to the next question. And if anybody has any questions as we're going to do a Q&A at the end, but if you have a clarification question, feel free to shout it out.
That's a great point too, Sheridan. When you talk about some of the interests and stuff of your ideal fan, oftentimes you'll find it reflects who you are as an individual, or maybe the reciprocal rather of who you are, maybe who you want to be, which is really good, because knowing that, then you can really play to the people that are searching for what you're able to give them.
Yeah, and it's tricky to figure out just one person, but I promise it will help in all of your marketing plans that I'm sure you're working on. It's going to help you tailor to your people.
And feel free to just do a brain dump too. Anything goes. You'll find that it's sort of coagulates a little bit towards the end, but anything that you can think of that really would fall in line with that ideal fan would be great. We can probably start moving on to the next question here in a second.
Yeah.
So Sheridan, were you about to say something else?
Nope, go for it.
Okay, great. So the next question that we ask is, where does this particular individual consume new music and content? And so this might seem really silly, because for most of us, we would go like, well, yeah, like viral songs on TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever, YouTube. But really think about it. What I try to do with the artists that I work with, especially my really young, talented artists, is I always ask them almost like once a week. I say, who should I be listening to? And they'll tell me that they found a song like in a commercial or something, and all their friends know about it, So think about, are they finding it online? Are they finding new music by going out places? Are they discovering it accidentally? Maybe they're a radio person because you're thinking of this ideal fan as being a country fan, and they listen to a lot of country music on the radio.
Yeah. Are they Spotify or Apple people? We all know there's a difference.
That's huge. There is a big difference.
Are they old-fashioned CD people? Are they vinyl people? All these little questions matter.
Cat or dog?
Yep.
All right. And then as you're wrapping that up too, we have the next question is what does this individual need? And this is really like, what do they need to hear? What are they searching for? Is it somebody that has gone through something very difficult, and you may have gone through something equally as challenging, or maybe even the same thing, and you've survived it and maybe thrived afterwards and have something to give back to them? That would be really wonderful to recognize, because then you know specifically you can speak to those people. Do they need someone to speak for them? Do they need a beacon of hope? Maybe they are not in a position where they're privileged enough to be able to stand up for themselves and so on, and you can advocate for them in that way.
Yeah, it's thinking about like, how do you add value to this person? How does your music bring value to them? How does your being, your brand, your personality bring value to them? Because at the end of the day, that's marketing, right? It's how do you add value? What is the person's pain point? What are they suffering with? What are they searching for? So this is definitely the most challenging question, and I don't necessarily think that everybody's going to get it right away, but just write this question down and make sure it's something that your group ponders as you're creating your marketing plan.
And then lastly, what is the easiest way that you can connect with this person? Or maybe there are multiple people that are like your ideal fan, but this one ideal specific fan, what is the easiest way to connect with them? Is it in person? Is it targeted marketing? Another good one is, do you know this person already? Is this somebody that you have a relationship with or you've worked with before, and so on? What is the best way that you can connect with them? And excuse me, you want to be thinking about connecting with them on a rather intimate level. It's not just like, can they see your Instagram post? It's like, can you connect with them on a personal level and make a relationship that might transcend future performances, or they would listen to your music or consume your content and so on.
And in addition to that, which platforms are they using to communicate? So are they texters? Are they emailers? Are they solely DM readers? Where are they communicating the most effectively with their people? Not just as an artist, but how do they in general communicate with friends? So how many groups are there? Would we have time to have maybe one representative from each group share their list here?
I think so. I mean, the value of these questions is that for our marketing lab, we were going to ask very similar questions because these map so well onto the segmentation work that I'm asking them to do. So the first question is sort of a personality segmentation. The second is behavioral. The third is sort of psychographic, and the fourth is behavioral. But I also think there's value in thinking about like social segmentation, how people connect with others as a way of understanding both how to easily connect with them, but also what they value. So this is a really helpful brainstorming exercise for their lab, which we'll use the last bit of class to do. So I think it makes sense to have someone from each group. We've got 5 groups. They're not sitting together now. That's okay because they were brainstorming individually. So maybe if I can have one from each group share out what you wrote down and answer to these questions. And we've got Hannah coming up first, who is one of our artists.
That would be great.
Wonderful.
And Dr. Moore too, I don't know where the microphone is located, but you all are just a little bit quiet. So if you wouldn't mind just projecting a bit, that'd be great. I have us turned up here. Sorry.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll work on that. All right, Hannah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So since I'm making like reflective music, I was thinking about like an audience that it's more like out on night walks or like like philosophers in that kind of sense. Like they think a lot, and they need someone to maybe explore their ideas with. So I was kind of thinking that also that they're a bit adventurous and wants to try new things and challenges and stuff. Do I do the other one as well?
Sure.
Okay, so consume new music and content. Well, I was thinking playlists, like just exploring themselves on Spotify, perhaps, and maybe vinyl because they're a bit nostalgic. That's how I see them. And what do we need? So I was thinking like motivation to try new things, like hope or optimism, courage, and then for self-development, like wisdom and openness, and maybe something challenging. So that was what I was thinking. And then like to connect with them, I was thinking TikTok, to have more, to be able to have a conversation in that kind of sense, create videos, and then maybe YouTube. I like to make like cinematic themes and stuff, so that could work, and maybe a blog to have more reflective content.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you hit on so many wonderful things. And this is, maybe a topic for another discussion that we might have going deeper into this. But if you were to take that information and you were to create a game plan around it, you would have so many different things that you could possibly do, and it would answer all your questions for you right away. Right away that your TikTok videos could feel a certain way. They would be very conversational. Like it wouldn't make sense to be overly produced and kind of fake, because that would not communicate to those types of people. And then structurally, and I'm sure you guys are going to be talking about this, if you built all of that out, you'd have a very, very straightforward, easy game plan to be able to create content, to be able to communicate with these people. I think that's great. Great responses.
Yeah, and I just encourage you to take everything that you just did and go even like 1 or 2 levels deeper. So you said, adventures, right? I think you said in the beginning, some of your interests. What types of adventures? Like get really specific about, does that mean traveling? Does that mean like skydiving? Like what types of adventures? Because that can also dictate content, that can dictate the different audiences that you tap into. So yeah, but that's really great work, especially in such a short amount of time. That's amazing.
All right, let's see. Can I get someone from Lily W's team? Lilo? Sorry, I always forget. Lilo, yeah.
I don't know if it feels weird sharing my own, but
Do you want one of your teammates to share?
I can do it.
Okay, so we've got Lily sharing for her artist Lilo, who's also in the room.
And this is, we definitely still need to have like conversations about this with the team. But for styles and interests, I said somebody who likes dancing, somebody who kind of has like an indie-ish fashion style, open to humor and unconventionality. And then like gender-wise, it like will probably lean like pretty feminine. 18 to 22 years old, probably queer, and music video watchers, because Lila makes cool music videos. And then where do they consume music? Spotify and YouTube, I said, and also like when they're walking to class. And then what do they need? I think something different from like the TikTok formula indie pop. And also someone who's like similar to them, they can relate to. And then the easiest way to connect with them, I'm gonna assume is gonna be Instagram, post stories and links, and then in person, like around campus, and then also through like live shows opening for larger artists.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a great start. I already got like a whole picture in my head, and I can't even really see what you guys look like from this tiny screen. But yeah, I got a whole image there, and I definitely heard a lot of trends of college. So like walking to class, listening to music, like being on campus. So that's a whole demographic and concept that you can really hone in on too, and like what are the struggles of an everyday college student, and how do you make that maybe part of the content that you're creating to be able to make a deeper impact with your audience?
I like what you said about listening to music walking to class, because I think if you consider how someone is consuming your music and in what ways it's impacting them, that's really important. You know, like if you're someone that's doing music that's way more upbeat, are people listening to that to work out? Are they dancing to it? Are they, you know, having a party with your music or something? You know, it's very interesting to think about the ways in which they would use your music too. I think that's very good.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys can compare these in your groups too, and kind of see what the common themes were that you all created to really, that's like an even better case study and really finding what your true audience is, since you're all working towards the same artist.
Yes, that is a great idea, and I will take up that challenge. I think that's a good idea. Let's hear from Join's group. So who'd like, Join, do you want to speak for yourself, or would you like one of your colleagues to describe your ideal fan? Okay. Can you actually, I know it's a little weird, but can you stand sort of in the middle? I think it's the sides that are difficult to hear. We're on rolling chairs, which is nice.
Nice. That's so awesome.
Hi,
Nice and loud.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm the artist that my group is working on, and so I'm kind of like a Gen Z kid. So a lot of my listeners would also be like Gen Z, and I'm Asian. So a lot of my listeners would also be Asian. But I also like white people. They also like artists that have a goofy personality and good music, I hope. And they like DIY artists, because me as an artist, I produce my own music, so I break down my songs like videos and stuff like that. And the people that listen to my music are introduced to new genres of music, because I don't stick to a genre. Yeah, and someone put that typed in lowercase, which is like an in thing for Gen Z people. And I typed in lowercase, so.
Wait, I hope you did not do that in your case study.
Yeah, so where do they consume new music? Would be Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. And super fans would rewatch live videos that I post on YouTube and music videos, but they don't buy vinyls and CDs anymore because they're Gen Z and broke. So what they need is a story in the song, and they like watching me play live. And it's I have visuals and sad music. I'm working on that. We're going more to like happy music now. So it's kind of like growing up with my audience. So I used to be sad, and now I'm happy, and I hope that they're also happy. And the easiest way to connect with new people is through opening on tour with a larger artist. And that would be like the end goal, because I get to like play live for a new audience, for an artist that I like, and I get to expose myself to an audience that also likes my music. And I think playing live for me is the most important thing. So yeah, that's it.
That's great.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a lot to work with there. Thank you so much for sharing. Couple of things that came to mind, and then Mark, I'll pass it to you real quick.
Yeah.
So I heard you really hone in on live, not only live performance, but tapping into maybe live streams. So then which platform would be the most effective for live streaming? Because there's platforms like Twitch that maybe, I don't know if people use that anymore, but I know artists that can literally make 10 grand off of a Twitch, one live stream. So there's a lot of ways that you can monetize that as well. And you could monetize your live streams by also showing your process. So I heard you say that you like DIY. And I don't know if you do your own producing or you make your own music videos, or if there are different aspects of your career that are DIY, but that could be really cool to break down kind of your process and let other artists in, maybe artists are your audience of sort of showing them how you do things. And that could be a cool way to also create some just new, different content that's unique to you.
That's great, Sheridan. No, my question actually was, did you mention that you don't stick to a particular genre? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
What is the reason for that? That's really interesting.
I listen to a lot of music. Yeah. And so I make a lot of different kind of music. And I don't stick to a genre. I like to experiment. So the music that I put out is like, they're just the music that I want to listen to.
Sure. Is there another artist that does something very similar to what you are doing in mixing genres and putting out whatever music they like?
I'm sure there is, but I don't know. I
That
think
would probably be a cool
most
person
artists,
to find.
I think most artists that like making music experiment. So I think I'm the same.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think having different genres and influences is totally fine, because in today's world, what is genres? They're all blending, right? They're all country and pop and rock and soul, everything's coming together. So I think that's okay, but really defining what it is about your sound is going to help, and which artists are maybe in a similar vein can help you define which type of listeners are going to be listening to you. So it's okay to have a different genre, but like maybe you create your own genre. So call it something unique. You know, one of the artists that I'm managing right now has a genre called rhinestone rock that she just created because she was a mix of country and rock and soul. And so she created this own name for herself, which is becoming a part of her brand. And, you know, she has a couple different influences from these different genres that all come together into this sort of new lane that she's created for herself. So that's absolutely something that you could do. And I think it actually creates more opportunity to tap into more fan bases.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's really great. Just make sure you're really specific about those genres that you're influenced by.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sure.
So a lot of major labels, they don't take an artist that don't have like a specific genre. So I know that they always look out for like if the artist is a pop artist or an R&B artist, or like a rock artist, and if they're like none of them, or like the project is too messy, in a sense that the genres are all, you know, all over the place, they don't take them in, or at least that's what I've encountered.
Yeah.
But I like to stick to what I like, and not having a genre, but that always doesn't work out. So I don't know if I should, like, you know, sell out and just stick to the genre.
Yeah. So my opinion on this, and I think it's very in line with what Sheridan was saying, the way that when you talk about labels, that's a little bit different because labels are a business. So they basically just want to do all of what we're doing on a big scale. And they want to say, hey, artist, we want to put $100,000 into your working machine and make $500,000. So it's very easy for them to cherry pick an artist that is very specific, already has a group of people that follow them. They have a fan base, they're doing shows, and add fuel to the fire. It's way easier for their mechanism that's already working to just add money to that. So it's a greater risk for them to invest in an artist that is multi-genre or doesn't quite have a specific brand presence because they don't know which resources are going to be best fit for that artist. So from their perspective, it's way easier for them to just try to categorize you. Even if they miscategorize you, they're just doing it from a business perspective to try to say, okay, this is like a hard rock artist that looks a particular way, has a particular fan base that does these things. And so we already have the resources to put money towards that and make more money. That's really what I believe it comes down to. And maybe Sheridan has a comment on that too.
I mean, you said it. I would have said the exact same thing. I think if artists, or excuse me, labels look for artists that have clarity and confidence. And so if you have different genres that influence your music, that's okay. But if you have a sound that's really strong and defined, and you have a brand and you know what you want to say, that to me is going to be the most appealing thing for a label, because then they can listen to your music and decide, okay, we're going to put you in the blues and roots category, or we're going to put you in the pop category. And if you can kind of let them decide some of that categorization, so long as you are really clear on your sound and you don't sacrifice your creative energy and your creative sound. So if you come to them with clarity, it shouldn't be too much of an issue for them, because it's going to be a really clear yes or no. And also, if they are trying to totally change you and reshape you into something that you're not, then I would run for the hills. But that's a great question. I think we have a couple more groups to go.
Yeah, Arden's group. Arden, would you like to speak for yourself or have someone from your group?
I can talk for myself. Okay, so the interests and styles of my ideal fan are someone who's kind of outdoorsy, maybe a little academic. They like going to museums. They either like reading or pretend to like reading, and their favorite seasons are fall or winter. Age is kind of everywhere. I haven't been able to pinpoint this because there's a lot of different people who listen to my music, and like I've gotten really positive reactions from both like my peers, but also people in their like 30s to 50s, and also some young kids too. So I don't know where that lies, but I would say they mostly consume new music from like live concerts or festivals, Instagram, Spotify, college or local radio, and like music blogs. They need perhaps like a greater sense of community or friendship, some relatability, and like a certain sense of like melancholy that also gives hope. And the easiest way to connect with them is probably through live shows, Instagram, or longer form media like newsletters, and on social media platforms. Make sure that the content isn't like overly contrived, so like not following a ton of trends or making things too, not too.
Great.
I just want to make one comment here on the age thing, because it's totally normal to say, oh, I've got people of all ages that listen to my music. For the sake of this exercise, I really want you to pick as the artist, as a songwriter. Are you the artist, or are you just in the group?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're songwriting and you're singing on stage, who are you imagining this song is landing with? And pick that person. This doesn't mean that you're going to ostracize the other people that are consuming your music, but if you can get so clear on this one person that you're targeting, the rest is going to follow. And you're going to find there's always going to be outliers, but I would just encourage you to really think about the one person that you most want your music to land with. And that might help you kind of hone in on that one person. But I love this whole like cozy vibe, like reading, the outdoors, fall, winter. Like this is a whole like aesthetic too that I'm already like imagining in my mind that you could turn your whole Instagram or YouTube account into. So I really like the descriptiveness there.
Great.
The age thing is really helpful to hear, and I think like if I had to choose, it'd probably be like people in their 30s, 40s. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes just making that decision, like you just did, like, do you see, there's almost like a relief of, oh my gosh, okay, I can really just target this age group. And I know where they're consuming music now, and I know where to find them and what they're into. And then the machine starts moving. And once the machine starts moving, then you can start to really branch out more. I mean, look at Taylor. Taylor Swift was so specific in these young girls going through heartbreak, and she just honed in on that audience. And then once she had established this machine, she was able to branch out and move more into pop, and the rest is history. But she was really clear and specific about who she started targeting at the very beginning. So I'm really excited for all of you guys. This is great. I can't wait to hear. I need to like a check-in 6 months from now to see where this music is and how you guys are growing the audience. I love it.
Awesome. And then we have next Ishan's group. Ishan, do you want to speak for yourself? Or would you rather? Right. Okay. Who would like to represent Ishan? We've got Danny, who's not here today. So it'll be Gian or Casey.
I feel, let's see.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest just for the, and I actually want to circle back to Lily with a W, Lilo, to make sure every artist gets to sort of speak for themselves as well, since the other three groups did. So Ishan, why don't you take it away and then we'll circle back to Lilo.
I feel like a lot of what I see in my ideal fan is like a electronic music festival goer, because they kind of like to go back home and reflect on like the whole festival and kind of get stuck in the music that was at the festival, and a lot of that is electronic music, which I also produce. So yeah, they consume that at the music festival and then take that onwards to the ESPs and stuff. And like what they would need is like more of a nostalgic feeling of what's happening at the festival, but like at home, kind of like through social media and all that. And I feel like yeah, that makes social media and like playing live the easiest way to connect with them.
Were you able to hear that okay?
I wasn't personally, sorry. I was trying pretty hard. I apologize. It's kind of quiet.
Yeah. Could you repeat the high notes of or the low notes, whichever you prefer, but a little bit louder?
Yeah, so can you hear me now at this level?
Yes, that's great actually for me. Thank you. Sorry about that.
So I was talking about how my ideal fan is a electronic music festival goer, and they consume the music at the festival and probably take that nostalgic feeling home. And they need more content on social media to bring that feeling back. And then like yeah, like it gives a lot of euphoria being at a music festival. So through social platforms, you can kind of deliver the same experience through like visual content. So I feel like that's the easiest way to connect with them outside of a gig environment.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, so for a short while, I was managing an EDM violinist. And we had a very unique perspective on her industry because she was working to transcend different genres. You said electronic music, right? Did I get that correct? I'm not just... I didn't miss that. Okay, yeah. So we partnered with a lot of festival where companies and festival brands to be able to tap into that community. So it was everything on social media was high energy, colorful, fun. You know, it had this really just kind of relaxed and enjoyable attitude. And it worked really successfully for her. In fact, we were able to build her TikTok from like 400 followers to now I think she's like 145,000 in about a year, gradually through organic growth, which is awesome too. So definitely a really fun base to tap into. And I think the more that you hone in on those specifics, I think the more that you're going to be able to have a greater relationship with those people.
Yeah, and I love the word, I think you said nostalgic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, that word is so powerful. And I'd encourage you to dig a little bit deeper into what are they nostalgic for? What are these festival attendees nostalgic for? And you could do a whole series of content around that. You know, are they nostalgic for are they older people nostalgic for their youth? Are they nostalgic for, I don't know. I would need to know a little bit more about your take on it, but that word is just so poignant that I would unpack that a little bit.
If I can jump in and make a suggestion, because the one thing that appeals to me about electronic music, there aren't many because it's not my genre of choice usually, but the thing that appeals to me about it is the live experience, and it's the immersive experience. the multi-sensory experience of electronic music. So finding ways to tap into that but online, I think is a really positive way forward. Thank y'all. And then Lila, so Lily B did a great job taking a sort of crack at Lilo's ideal fan, but I'd love to hear from Lily W, aka Lilo. What is your ideal fan?
Definitely think other Lily said it really well. I think like the music that I currently have released is kind of more like run of the mill, like indie umbrella term that doesn't really target like as much of a specific audience, but like the new release is, I hope to be like guarded more towards like a more niche demographic of people who could, the new idea is basically for like more fantasy type of like a fantasy type of world where there's the music and there's like a storyline and there's like visuals and color schemes to go with it. So I think people who are kind of like interested in like a little bit of an escape. I think like in terms of the content too, like I don't know, a lot of people who feel like maybe disconnected just either because of the internet or like, I don't know, coming to terms with their identity, whatever it might be. So I think, yeah, people who are kind of like looking for a channel, like maybe more like reserved people who are looking for like a channel for their for a way to like connect their emotions. And I assume like young people, like 18 to 20, college aged. And again, so, like it'll be kind of danceable, but also like include a lot of genres in it. So yeah. Nice.
Very neat.
Yeah, I definitely saw some overlap there. So you guys are clearly on the same page, I think, within your group. And I think you said, so identity and perhaps maybe feeling seen, maybe community is important. And so maybe for you, establishing a home for your fans to gather, whether that's virtually or in person, like on campus, that's up to you. But maybe a platform like a Patreon where people can come and you have a live stream once a month where all your fans can engage with each other and you have a safe space for discussion or, things like that. Maybe that would be an important way for your important piece of who you are, to be that space for your fans, not just for music, but a gathering space where you're the common denominator, but everybody has a chance to get to know each other. So that could be another maybe cool way to establish a space.
Really good idea.
Yeah. And that niche following. These are all really excellent, you guys. I'm super impressed. This is a very difficult exercise. I know it doesn't seem like it on the surface, but it's really, really hard. So well done. And thank you for diving in on that with us. Was that all the groups or did we have one more?
Yeah, that was all the groups. Thank you so much for giving them some feedback individually too. That's really generous and appreciated.
Yeah, of course. I think we're supposed to wrap up at 3:30. Is that correct?
We can, we go until, we have another 35 minutes of class. So I'm happy to allow you to keep the floor for a bit longer if you had other things that you wanted to share.
That's very sweet. I don't want to take up your time. We just have one more little slide to kind of wrap up, kind of once you've established your fan base and this ideal fan. So now what? So how do you really activate that person? And I know we touched on this kind of through the feedback, but I just wanted to kind of leave you guys with a couple ways here that you can really start to engage and grow organically your audience. So one of the best ways that I've been able to do this with my artists is taking a look at the songs that she has and how do we leverage what you already have. So she has a song called Whiskey With Me, and whiskey is a big part of her brand. She loves it. She has a collection at home. So we said, okay, what if we go to where the whiskey lovers already are and insert Jenny into that? Her name is Jenny Teeter. If you insert her into the audience that already exists, as opposed to really trying to find all your people individually. So we decided to do a whiskey distillery tour. So we called up a bunch of distilleries. We're in Nashville. There's a ton around us in Kentucky and Tennessee. And we did a mini distillery tour at Bullet Bourbon and Jack Daniels and all these other places. And we cultivated new fans through this, I like to call it backdoor. So it's through an interest and a hobby of hers that also was related to a song that she had. So we called it the Whiskey With Me Tour. So that was a great way for us to tap into an audience that doesn't know who she is yet, but they have this common interest of whiskey already. So that was another great way that you might just realize you're missing out on a whole opportunity of an audience based on a song that you've already written. So definitely go back through your songs and see if there's any Easter eggs in there. And then I touched on this earlier, but really nurturing your super fans. So I always say having 100 super fans that maybe invest $1,000 a year with you across coming to your shows and buying merch. That's a lot of money. That's, what is that, $100,000 right there that you like, that's a healthy salary right there. So it's quality over quantity here, which I know social media kind of skews that way of thinking. We think we need all these followers, but if we've got really engaged followers and super fans, the rest is going to fall into place, and they are going to go out and be your street team and bring in their friends and start telling people about you, because that is the best marketing, right? Like we can do all the ads and we can do all the things, the promotions, but having people talk about you is the best way to organically grow your audience. So really nurturing your super fans. A great way to do that is through house concerts, because you get to really engage with the audience. You get their feedback. You make those individual one-on-one connections. Usually the stage is like on the floor with the audience, or it's in an intimate setting where you don't feel as separated from your audience. So those are a really great way. I could do a whole class on house concerts, but we don't have time for that. And another way would be Patreon. Give your fans a place to come and be together and have access to you. It's taking the time to send a little happy birthday note to, your super fans. Maybe it's the first 50 people. I know you don't have time to do it to thousands and thousands of people, but take the time to send somebody who has come out to all your shows and has really supported you, send them a free t-shirt in the mail, surprise them, really nurture them, because they're going to be your core. I say don't be a robot, because we are human beings. We are not just music machines. So don't forget to look at all the different parts of your personality. What makes you tick? What do you believe in? If you have a hobby of cooking, maybe you start doing a little cooking show on YouTube where you sing some songs, and you might find people that come to your music through your cooking. So they found you through your cooking, and then they realize, oh my gosh, this girl can sing too. This guy can sing. Like, I'm going to follow them. So look at all the pieces of what makes you you, and whatever you're willing to share with the world. Obviously we have to have boundaries, but whatever you're willing to let people in on, do it. It's just more ways to tap into people. Your Instagram, your social media does not have to be 100% music. I'm going to say that again. It does not have to be 100% music. You do not need to have a personal and a music page. You are a complete human being. People want to love all the pieces of you that you're willing to share, not just your music. I know there's nothing more annoying than seeing somebody say pre-save, 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 pre-save over and over on their socials. It's like, well, let's find new ways to get people to know that my album's coming out. Maybe you're a reader, right? Somebody in here said that reading is a part of their brand. Maybe you have a book club, and maybe your book club members get early access to your album that's coming out, things like that. So really tap into your other hobbies and interests. And finally, ask for what you need. An audience wants to help. People inherently want to help you, but you have to give them some way to help you. So that's providing them a platform like a Patreon. It's providing them with, asking for a house concert host. Maybe you want to do a house concert tour, but you're a little stuck. Ask your audience for help. Go online, be like, hey, anybody interested in hosting a house concert? Make sure you vet them in advance, people, by the way. You got to be careful. But asking for what you want is a great way to see your super fans come out of the woodwork, because those that raise their hands are typically going to be your ride or dies, for lack of a better word. So Mark, was there anything else that you wanted to chime in on there? I know I just said a lot really quickly.
No, you nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
So there's a lot here, but you guys are on your way, and just wanted to say thank you for having us. if we have time for a couple questions, we're open to it, but I don't want to take up more time of your class. So if there's any burning questions, maybe we could take one or two.
That'd be great if you still have time. I do have one important question. If there are folks who are interested in New Roots in Power and applying, should they do that through the website? Can they reach out? Can they reach out to you?
Yes. You took the words right out of our mouths. Thank you. Mark, you can go for it. They've heard me talk too much.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Actually, Dr. Moore, I'm going to send the website in the chat. It didn't hyperlink. I don't know why. Sorry about that. But
yeah, I'll pull it up after the slides.
yeah, so we would love to connect with anyone that would be interested. We are increasing the amount of presence that we have on social media, so you can find us at New Roots Nashville, pretty much anywhere on Instagram, and TikTok is our most two active. Probably Instagram is where we post everything. Feel free to shoot us an email if you have any questions. And if you are interested in learning more about our blog, and definitely sign up for our newsletter, which we'll have one coming out probably tomorrow. Check out our website. That's wearenewroots.com. We have a ton of information on there that we share in our blog. We have applications on there. It's free to apply. You'll be asked a series of questions just about your music career and your intentions with your music. And throughout the year, Sheridan and I can kind of discuss more about this, but throughout the year, we have some really cool events that we put on, in addition to these sort of pillar events where we bring a bunch of artists to Nashville and they interact with music executives. We talk about management, sync licensing, songwriting. They get a photo shoot, they get brand work, they get a styling session, recording in the studio, you name it. So it's very fun. And if you are interested in coming to Nashville and doing that, you can go to our website and just click the apply button and fill out the application, and you'll hear from us fairly soon.
Nice.
Yeah, but please keep in touch. Mark and I love to hear from people, answer questions. We do one-on-one coaching as well. So please don't hesitate to introduce yourself so we can get to know you better.
Thank you. And is there anyone with a burning question for Mark and Sheridan before we let them get on with their day?
I'm going to stop the screen share so I can see you guys a little bit.
Yeah, that would be great.
There we go. Any questions?
Like everyone is sufficiently enlightened and satisfied. Yes, and they have their marching orders for the next steps in their marketing lab coming up next. So Mark and Sheridan, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It was really great to meet you both, or to see you both virtually. And Sheridan, I always appreciate meeting people through WIN. So this was a real pleasure. And I will definitely personally keep in touch, and I'm sure some of the students will as well.
Yes, please do. Thank you so much for letting us take this time, and we hope to hear from you guys soon.
Thank you so much. Can we give them a round of applause?
Thanks, y'all. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks so much.
All right. Take care.
Take care.